What's up, guys? I just left my 6 p.m. screening of Spider-Man Brand New Day. As you can tell by my cup here, I didn't feel like standing around and talking about the movie outside the movie theater. Didn't want to spoil it for anybody, so here we are doing a car talk. But I will be doing in this video both a spoiler-free and a full spoiler review. I will let you guys know when to leave the video if you want to remain spoiler-free. But all that being said, before we get into the review, go down to the link in the description, and if you want to donate to Make-A-Wish and help grant a child's wish for Wishmas this year. That being said, let's get into the review. This is both the next entry into the MCU, plus the fourth entry into the Tom Holland Spider-Man franchise. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, live-action Spider-Man movie. I personally would put it tied with, if not over, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. So, this movie just hands down one of the best Spider-Man movies. It is the best movie since Endgame, and that's coming from someone who both enjoyed Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy for me, all of them. If you guys have been keeping up with the promotions for this movie and the trailers they've been putting out, a common complaint I've seen is that they're showing too much, they're giving too much away. I've seen enough already. Just stop showing us so much. I promise there's so much more in this movie you have not seen. It is a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. You have not seen everything. They have left a lot out of the trailers, and it is so good. And I personally think if you enjoyed Spider-Man 2 from Sam Raimi, this very much, for the first time since that movie, is a Spider-Man movie that feels like a deep character study on that level. But not only that, it's the first time since the Raimi movies I've truly felt like the director understood the character on such a deep level. Not that Mark Webb and the Amazing Spider-Man movies didn't feel that way, because they did sometimes, but Sam Raimi clearly had a love for the character. So that being said, this is a MCU Spider-Man movie, and a pretty common complaint, and just a pretty big problem I kind of had with the quote-unquote home trilogy, Tom Holland's last 3 movies. They felt like an MCU movie first and a Spider-Man movie second. Meaning, yes, Spider-Man's in there, his supporting cast is in there. They are using the character to tell like a Spider-Man story. But it's a Spider-Man story being told in the MCU to get more eyes on the MCU. I didn't have that issue with this movie. Brand New Day, first and foremost, is a Spider-Man movie that takes place in the MCU and happens to take advantage of the fact that it takes place in the MCU. Obviously, if you've been watching the trailers, you know Hulk is in it, Punisher's in it. A lot of people have been saying, oh, it's going to be a cameo fest, it's going to have too many characters in it, or it's going to be too much of, oh, look, Spider-Man, the MCU. It did not feel that way at all. The characters that are in the movie feel like they are there to service the story, to service Peter's character arc, and it is done beautifully. And without getting into spoilers, because we're not doing the spoiler talk yet, I think the way they handled the introduction of who Sadie Sink is playing, how they handled how this film ties into the greater MCU as a whole, they handled it masterfully while still telling probably my favorite live action Spider-Man story. The web swinging was fantastic. The action was excellent. Everyone in the movie is acting their rear ends off. Just the best performances any of them have given. I think this is the most I've liked Zendaya and Jacob Batalon as MJ and Ned, respectively. This is definitely Tom's best performance as Spider-Man. That being said, I think he was great in No Way Home, especially for the emotional bits. But he was firing on all cylinders in this movie. Jon Bernthal, as always, as Punisher, is just top notch. You know, there's a reason he's been the Punisher as long as he has been. All of that being said, I don't know how much more I can say about the movie without getting into spoilers. So I will finish the spoiler-free part of the review by saying this movie, to me, is the best live-action Spider-Man movie. And I do think, depending on the day, Spider-Man 2 could probably take its place back. But as of right now, leaving the theater, this is my new favorite live-action Spider-Man movie. And I'm going to go see it again so I can kind of get my thoughts and bearings on it, walk down the hill better. But absolutely loved it. Absolutely phenomenal. Easily Tom Holland's best Spider-Man movie. Easily one of the best MCU movies. Absolutely loved it. I think I'm going to have to give it, on a score of like 1 out of 10, I think I'm going to give it like a 9. It's not a 10 out of 10. It does have some pacing issues here and there. The beginning is very slow, but then it picks up the pace and you do not notice that time go by at all. So I'm going to give it a nice little 9 out of 10. So if you guys wanted to stay spoiler free, now's your time to head out and let the adults talk. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room first. When I heard all the rumors that Sadie Sink was playing Jean Grey, and then you see the trailers and you see, you know, the scenes of her taking control of like half of Manhattan and everything else, I didn't know how they could possibly make Jean Grey work in a Spider-Man story and work as the villain and come out the other side with you like prepared to see her go on in the MCU as a hero, right? That being said, at least for me personally, I think they handled it well. She has very understandable motivation, given that Damage Control took her sister because she was a mutant and a telepath, and ultimately ended up killing her. Her sister was the only family she had. Obviously, she hasn't met Professor X. You know, the X-Men aren't in the MCU yet. The school probably isn't a thing yet. So she has nowhere to go. She has no family. Her kind of almost throwing a tantrum the entire movie of like, I'm going to find my sister. I'm going to break into Damage Control. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I don't care what it takes. I think her motivation was well fleshed out and well handled. And I think her redemption was handled really well. And that, to me, was like one of the biggest surprises in the movie. I didn't know Melissa Tomei was coming back as Aunt May. They kept that under wraps entirely. Had no clue she was going to be in the movie. Her scene with Jean Grey, with Sadie Sink's Jean, of Jean going into Peter's mind and reliving that scene from Homecoming that we didn't get to see, of like Aunt May giving him a pep talk about being Spider-Man as a way to like tell Jean she doesn't have to do this alone. Tell Jean that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how persecuted she is, that she doesn't have to do this alone, and that she doesn't have to let that define her. Having that be like what redeems Jean, I thought, personally, it worked for me really well. That being said, her being the main villain in a Spider-Man movie worked incredibly well, because I loved how they kept teasing, and it made me tear up every time. They kept teasing the possibility of undoing the spell. The first time is when Jean takes over MJ, and you think that MJ recognizes Peter. And it got me. It got emotionally. It absolutely gut-wrenched me when I thought MJ had her memories back. And then later on in the movie, when they kind of prey on that again in Punisher's lair of them talking, and then she tells him, "I don't love you." Oh, it broke me. It freaking broke me. And then at the end of the movie, when like the very end, when Ned instinctively knows the handshake, and then looks at him with like that knowing look and says, "Peter," I think all 3 times that they handled the spell from No Way Home, I think all 3 of them worked well for me. All 3 of them hit extremely emotionally. I enjoyed how it was handled. I'm glad that they didn't just instantly undo it. Him and MJ aren't back together. Him and Ned are just now on the way out of this movie into the sequel, rekindling their friendship. But they are not back to being best friends right this very second. I think that that was handled absolutely masterfully. In terms of Peter's arc in this movie, and almost the reverse Spider-Man 2 that they did, where instead of Spider-Man no more, we're doing like, Peter Parker no more. I really loved like, every second of it. Him struggling with his powers, him struggling with the choice he made at the end of No Way Home, and struggling with how to do all of this without his friends, how to do all of it without Aunt May, struggling to figure out how to be Spider-Man and how to be a hero without that community that was always there. I absolutely loved it. So, and I will say, I think to me it gave big like, Raimi Spider-Man vibes. It gave some, everyone's been talking about since the trailer. It's big TASM 2 vibes. But I absolutely adored every second of this movie. Like I've never in my life, I've never bought merch from a movie. I've never bought in tie-in stuff. I've never bought cups while at the movie theater. I've never bought popcorn buckets. I've never done any of that. When I go to the movie theater, it's rare and far between. And I normally only go to see a movie once. I actually went to see No Way Home 5 times in theaters. Like, I absolutely adored No Way Home. But obviously, nostalgia was kind of playing into that. But I still greatly enjoyed that movie. But this one, I already have tickets to go back and see it again tomorrow. As you guys can see, I gave into buying merch and drinking a nice cold diet Pepsi Outlet. And I just absolutely adored this movie. I had so much fun. It was such a good watch. I don't have many complaints. I think the only complaint I have is the Yelena pool scene. That is the most like MC humor, undercutting everything else in the film, feeling scene. That's the only time I was out of it the entire movie. Everything else was just phenomenal. I loved every second of this movie. So, if for some reason you're watching this and you chose to stay for the spoiler section and you haven't watched the movie, if you haven't enjoyed Tom's iteration of Spider-Man in the previous trilogy, do not let that hold you back from going and seeing this. This is the most Tom has ever felt like Spider-Man to me. We have the TASM level clipping. We have Raimi level saving civilians. We have some of the best web swinging we've ever had. Some of the best action we've ever had. And this movie is firing on all cylinders, and I think it all works. There's a reason it has a 98% audience score right now. Completely justified. Absolutely adore this movie. And I cannot wait to go see it again tomorrow with some friends because I love this movie. So, if you guys want to see more videos like this out of the channel, I know it's not my normal content. Like the video, leave a comment, and maybe I'll do more content like this. I'm going to go see Endgame when they put it back out in September, the Encore edition. I'm going to go see Doomsday when it comes out in December. So maybe if you want some reviews for those as well, I would love to do that. because personally, I love the MCU, I love Marvel, I love Spider-Man. And so this was more of just almost a passion project. I knew I was going to want to talk about the movie after seeing it, so this was just my excuse to get to yap about it a little bit. I know I didn't have a ton to say. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what I just seen, which is why I'm going to see it again tomorrow. But I loved the movie. I hope you go. But I loved the movie. I hope you guys liked the video. If you watched the movie, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought of it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you then.